Hello, welcome to The Real Deal, a Real Madrid podcast. Here's Sid. He's back. He disappeared. He was getting ready to do the intro, and then he vanished.
What's going on, everyone? And just happy to be here and discuss the Vinicius situation. We're getting a lot of questions. Issued a big apology on social media, and Jarod has a lot to say about this today as well. And there's been a lot of questions on the Twitter. We've been getting a lot. I saw some interesting ideas. Emil Sorel, which we'll put up the tweet later, was talking about how if it's from Jay-Z and Rock Nation, that in Vinicius's apology, he left out Xabi Alonso, the coach, specifically. I think that's the big question everyone has. We'll just get straight to it. Why did he not mention Xabi Alonso? The report from Seputar Real Madrid, an aggregator, said that he did apologize to the coaches on the training ground. So Emil Sorel says Rock Nation and Jay-Z mean that he might have purposely worded it in a way where there's no Xabi Alonso. People are asking in general, is he upset he can't get back to Ballon d'Or status and that Alonso's put Mbappe ahead of him? And people are asking, is it on purpose? Did he purposely not name Xabi? And what's the issue? Jarod, what do you think?
There's so much to unpack here, Sid, in terms of the apology, what happened, everything else. And I think it's good to start from sort of where it all began from, right? And it is this change in Xabi Alonso coming to be the coach of this team, replacing Carlo Ancelotti, right? Who Vinny saw as a father figure, right? Someone he was very close to and embraced as a very warm, touchy-feely kind of a guy, right? In terms of how he communicated with the players. Xabi Alonso is a complete opposite of that, right? We've heard reports from The Athletic come out where the players thought he was a little bit standoffish and distant, right? Not leading with the warm and fuzzies, much more of a, this is how I want things structured type of approach, right? And that's like night and day, right? So that's a shock to your emotional system, right? Your everything. You're just like, whoa, wait a minute. I used to have this like Papa Bear dad guy, and now I got drill sergeant dude rolling in here, right? Like this is a shock to the system. And we know about how under Carlo, Vinicius was seen as the main protagonist, would play full 90s all the time, was never benched, even when, and let's be clear about something, Vinny would have moments when under Ancelotti where he would throw up his hands or be annoyed when Carlo asked him to do something, right? The difference was Carlo would just hug him and not make a big deal out of it, and it would just get moved on and he wouldn't talk about it, right? Well, Xabi's not doing that. He's handling it a very different way. Oh, that's how it's going to be? Well, you're not going to play now. I'm going to sit you to start the next game or what have you, right? And so all of that context is important to understand what's happening now, right? So Vinny sat a couple games earlier, didn't play full 90s. So he already had that in his mind. And the other big elephant in the room, Sid, his contract extension has not been finalized yet. If there's one thing that professional athletes like, and I know this from my time in the NBA, around the NFL, like in any sport, they like routine. They like to know what's already expected of them. They like to have things established, and because they want repetitive motion, day after day, same thing, day in, day out, day in, day out. So all of a sudden now, none of that is true for Vinny, right? Everything's in flux. So his emotional state, everything is just going haywire in his system right now. On top of the fact that, I also need you to play elite level football, right? Okay, that's a lot to manage. And so we saw what he did after when he got subbed out during a Clasico. It's always me. It's always me. That's it. I'm going to leave the team, right? As it was quoted as saying. Now, I said this on that post-game show, Sid. In that moment, I understood his frustration. I didn't like his reaction, but I understood the frustration. Your issue is I don't work hard enough off the ball and out of possession. I would argue that was his best game under Xabi Alonso, out of possession and off the ball. He was working his ass off. Yes, he was tiring in the second half, as most of them were, but he was still a protagonist on offense, right? He caused the first penalty. He led to what should have been a third goal, right? Had Mbappe not touched the ball in an offside position, right? He was really cooking on both ends of the pitch. And so to feel like, okay, I'm done what the guy asked me, and now he's taking me off when I'm pissed. And these are, again, ultra competitive people. This is how they're going to react in the heat of it. And Vinny said as much in his apology. So I'll read it for you guys here. Today, I want to apologize to all the Madridistas for my reaction when I was substituted in the Clasico. Just as I have already done in person during today's training, I also want to apologize again to my teammates, the club, and the president. Sometimes passion gets the better of me because I always want to win and help my team. My competitive character stems from the love I feel for this club and everything it represents. I promise to keep fighting every second of the for the good for Real Madrid, as I have done since the first day. Now, what is everybody saying about that? He did not mention apologizing to Xabi Alonso, but as Sid mentioned, we do know that he did apologize to Xabi and the coaches. Now, I've said this before, and you guys know this. Athletes are very intentional in just about everything they do. You don't get to this level without being intentional with what you do. That's just the nature in which they operate. Do I think it was a pointed move? It would have been different had he not apologized to Xabi, as was reported, right? But he did. But leaving him out of the statement, yeah, it was a little bit of an intentional thing, right? Because what we're having here is, for lack of a better term, a power struggle, right? And sports is a funny thing, Sid. If you look at the org chart for any sports organization, right? You got your head of the organization, the owner at the top, right? Your CEO, president, general manager, or whatever. Then you split to sort of two sides of the org chart. The basketball or the football side, right? What's actually happening on the pitch, and the business side. At the top of the football side is the head coach in terms of organizational structure, right? Or the manager. That would be Xabi Alonso. Then all the players underneath. But what's odd about that, Sid, is that from a pay perspective, just about every player under the coach gets paid more than he does. So it's this weird thing where you are paid handsomely, and wait, I got to listen to somebody who gets paid less money than I do, right? There is a weird psychology that happens there, and you see it all the time in all professional sports, right? Which is why the saying always is, players always stick around longer than managers do, right? Because it's much easier when things are going wrong for the club to be like, we'll just get a new manager in here because they make less money, right? They're the more replaceable thing in theory. Whereas the elite player, well, where am I going to go find another Vinny? Like, that doesn't just grow on trees, right? And so this is your tension and your challenge. And it is a delicate thing to balance. As I said when Xabi got the job, and we were all excited, I'm still excited. Tactics and what happens on the pitch is literally 1% of the job. The other rest is all this other shit, right? Is how you manage these kinds of situations. That is where Carlo was a mastermind, right? Like that's where Phil Jackson's so good. That's where Steve Kerr is excellent at this. This is where you have to figure out, okay, how do I deal with this situation? I have the most ultra competitive people in the world, and I have to figure out how to assuage their feelings, make them feel good about themselves while also getting what I want out of them at the same time. And Sid, that's not an easy job. That's fucking really difficult to do.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think also when you have a team of stars, when you're trying to build a super team, the harder and harder it gets. It's hard to keep great teams together for a long time. 2017 Real Madrid, for example, was only together for 1 year. You can't. Then James was like, that's enough of like being left out of the squad for big games. Morata's like, get me a team where I can score. So that's always going to happen. I think, yeah, it's a big adjustment for Vinny just going from like 4 years of Carlo. Like Carlo just like, it's just funny. There are consequences to winning with the coach who's like so old and using ways that are just very different from the modern. And so when you implement something like what Alonso's doing, it can seem very foreign to the team. And yeah, you do need to be able to back the coach. Like I think it's interesting the club didn't discipline Vinny, and I think it's because he issued the apology and was willing to do so. The main thing is, do you think like the wording was specific? Do you think I have this thing displayed on the screen here. Do you think Jay-Z Rock Nation had something to do with the wording? I want
to be clear about Rock Nation. Like, yes, Jay-Z owns it, but it's not like Jay-Z's telling Vinicius, yo, don't put first of all, Jay-Z doesn't even know who the fuck Xabi Alonso is. Okay. No, like Jay-Z isn't telling Vinny, all right, when you write it like this, don't put no. However, do I think that his representatives and group saw what he was going to post and said, okay, yeah, it's okay leaving him out, right? Because everything you're trying to do in this kind of a situation, Sid, is you're trying to gain leverage, right? And it's always a little bit of one-upsmanship, right? It's okay. Yes, I apologize to Xabi Alonso and the coaching staff, and he knows that because I was there and apologized to him, right? But I'm going to leave him out of this apology because what that's suggesting is that he and I, even though I apologize, we are not all rolling in the same direction right now. We don't see eye to eye on this thing, right?
Yep.
That's what that omission is saying, right?
Mhm.
We are not seeing eye to eye right now on how he wants to manage things. And will we at some point? Maybe, right? But time will tell. So for sure, it was intentional, I believe, wholeheartedly. Now, I also think on the Xabi Alonso side, Sid, I think Xabi Alonso, again, for lack of a better term, using Vinny as his proxy to show his dominance is also a calculated move, right? He's like, okay, in order for me to show that I have control of this team and what I say goes, I can't do this to Fran Garcia because that doesn't, like, who's Fran Garcia in the pecking order, right? But if I do this to Vinicius, who second in the Ballon d'Or, like, right, main protagonist for many seasons here, won 2 Champions League, the other players will say, well, shit, if you can do that to Vinny, what does that mean for me, who's a lesser player than Vinny, right? So it's both men trying to assert that, quote unquote, I'm the man, right? So am I, right? And the two of them have to figure out how they're going to balance their, again, for lack of a better word, alpha maleness.
Yeah, for sure. And Alonso's very Pep. Pep always won those battles against his players over the years. Enrique, it's funny. Luis Enrique took 6 months to really figure it out with Messi and Neymar. People just think it's going to happen overnight here. Club World Cup didn't help because it's just such a weird environment where you're not even able to get your ideas across. With that being said, I think the main question is, like, with Vinny, has his career trajectory gotten to a point where he could actually leave is the big concern probably on a lot of fans' minds. Like, is he going to leave? There's no question what Alonso is doing is right for the team and what's needed for the team, just starting there. But I would argue that what's right for the team is going to end up being what's right for Vinny. And, I've displayed these questions on the screen. You guys can kind of read them if you're on video. If you're on audio, Vinny not winning the Ballon d'Or was so heartbreaking. And he knows Mbappe has crazy potential. And he can see now that Alonso's putting Mbappe in the positions as the main central scorer. Vinny doesn't have the same freedom he got in Carlos last year, where he was playing both roles. He was playing the winger role, but he also had games where he was playing up front. And then you had the Bayern tie where he did one leg of like striker, one leg of winger. But it was like he was the man, no matter what. The idea was he's the man. Now there can be 30 minutes of a game where he doesn't get as many touches, but we achieve our objectives as a team. And that is just not something he's used to. Now, I think the main thing is, like, on some level, Vinny is an archetype I've accepted now after as many months he's been. He's not like as pure of a Neymar Lamine archetype. He's a little more scorer, a little more Cristiano. Cristiano and Bale, though, were symbiotic at times, but it took some time to fit them in together. You needed to get the defense right. Carlo needed 6 months to get that Bale, Benzema, Cristiano team right. And statistically now, just going over where we are, it's been up and down, but there have been phases where Vinny's look crazy. And you can kind of see displayed progressive receptions are up through the roof. He's getting a lot of ISO touches on the wing. And honestly, just like Jude, he's playing a way more efficient role. Yes, the expected goals and assists are down now, but that's after the Clasico. Going into the Clasico, I believe he was basically right there with or at least a game or two ago, his production was right there with the Benzema year. Just, it was slightly lower than 23-24, but in line with the other years. He's getting a ton of ISO touches. Yes, he has to defend more, but he doesn't have to carry the ball 100 yards all the time. I think we have enough talent where this eventually becomes a situation where they add to each other. And I admit now that it's not as simple as Messi, Neymar, Suarez, because over the years I'd always make that comp. Fine, Messi and Neymar's dual playmaking scoring, like Mbappe doesn't have that playmaking. Vinny's needs to develop it, and even his playmaking is a tier below Neymar. That's the main difference here. And even then, it's like his expected assisted goals are around the 0.32, 0.3 mark. The fact that he's taken a leap, but we see so much more room is because on some level for these like three-headed offenses to work, like you need a little more of the passing. Like it's the scalability concept, Jarod, from basketball. Like, why are the 2017 Warriors one of the best teams ever? Because Steph and KD are amazing both off the dribble and off the catch, off movement, when benefiting off other people's space. And you had guys like Draymond who would move it around. Steph didn't care if he got it or not. He would take the doubles and get someone else open. Barcelona had a bit of that, of everyone's willing to take their man off the other one. They played together. We've gotten out of each other's way so far. I think when they start playing together, my prediction is these numbers go up. And I think Vinny in negotiations realizes I'm never going to get to play with Mbappe, Bellingham, Trent Alexander-Arnold again when Trent's going.
Right.
Trent's that big playmaker who completes the piece for us. In many ways, we don't expect it from the current guys. And by the way, we're going to talk about that on a Liverpool preview in another hour after this. Make sure you're tuned if you're tuned in on this live stream. But yeah, long story short, I think we're still going to figure it out. But I see why it's taken longer than I expected. I was a little arrogant when Mbappe first joined. I just thought they're going to do it. And I see that it's going to take a little longer. And I think some of that is they need to develop playmaking. Someone else needs to do more playmaking for them. Like the numbers need to go up a little more. But I think what we've seen on the pitch is a sign it'll be fine. And like the reaction is separate from the fact that anyways we've seen improvement. And I still think there's more room on top of that, which is important. Because I've been harping about changes and celebrating, but I'm not done celebrating. There's more. It's just one on.
Oh, we talked about it. LeConte and I did on the Monday show after El Clasico. Their ceiling is just still so much more room for growth, right? So again, we're talking about an unsettled situation, Sid, right? Where Vinny is transitioning into this new role and he's starting to get it, right? We talked about it, right? Like he was in many ways the main creator of offensive action on Sunday, right? Like with what he was doing. And that's just getting better and better, right? But it isn't an automatism yet for him, right? Because he's still learning it. That is an uncomfortable situation to be in on the football pitch. But Vinny is a strict instinct, see the game, read, do what I got to do, right? He still is a little bit still there to go in terms of thinking. And then again, that automatism level. Add that with what I said about his contract situation is also not resolved. Another unsettled situation, right? This is a lot of uncertainty and unsettledness, right? When you are uncertain and unsettled, you react in very strange and odd ways, right? Like he did on Sunday, right? This is a way that happens, right? Because again, as he said, the passion, I'm so amped. I want to do this for this club and all these things. Because here's the thing, Sid, not only does he want his contract to be set, he wants to get back to that Ballon d'Or level as quickly as possible too, on top of that, in this new system, right? So it's a lot of things he wants to happen now. And so you're getting frustrated. There's all these different things happening, right? So yes, in a particularly hot, contested environment like an El Clasico, yes, shit's gonna pop off sometimes, right? By the way, folks, this is professional sports. It happens all the fucking time. All the time. Sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't. But I promise you, your favorite team in any sport, this shit happens all the time.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, Ronaldo used to like, there was drama. Remember when Ronaldo was sad?
Yes, sad Cristiano.
Like I remember that was when I just started following the club. I heard it like, no, like I just heard about this guy. He's not sad. He's not leaving. No, like
it's wild, man. Like it is a pressure cooker environment. And then the idea of knowing that everything you do is going to be dissected and talked about 9 million times. Like this is just the nature of how it works in highly competitive environments and how some people react. Now, is ESPN and all the major people, are they milking it for content? Yes, obviously. We know that. Duh. Right? However, it's not to say there's nothing there, right? It's not nothing, right? Yes, they are throwing gasoline on something, but there's stuff there. There are underlines of things there, and we see it. It is very evident.
Yeah, totally. And any closing thoughts here? Just predictions. My prediction would be that we get a renewal. And I believe we don't budge on getting him a bigger deal. He is a bit like Ronaldo, where he's going to act out sometimes, but I don't think he gets as long as he stays in line salary-wise with what Florentino considers fair, I think we'll get the deal done. I don't know. Some people have suggested the deal is kind of close and they just haven't announced it. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. It might even be there. Who knows? But regardless, I guess I'm just hoping that they get the deal done, and this is just a lot of good social media impressions that increases our brand value, so we get more sponsorships, so we can go and sign more players. I'm just hoping because everyone's milking it good. Like that means you bring that up in the negotiations for the next Galacticos, and say look what's happening. They're just talking about everything with us on.
I'm a firm believer that the renewal will happen. It's going to happen at a number that, yes, Madrid wants, but also that Vinicius feels good with. And ultimately, as we close here, Sid, you mentioned the Golden State Warriors, and I think it's an apropos team to mention because they're a perfect parallel to this situation right now in that Steve Kerr, more often than not, wants to kill Draymond Green, like literally. Like those two came to blows almost to blows at halftime in the locker room, and police had to be called inside, right? Like Steve Kerr has been caught on camera saying, I am so sick and tired of Draymond shit. Like it's been picked up a million times. Draymond punched a teammate in the face on camera, right? Yet what keeps happening? Draymond keeps coming back and getting renewed. Steve Kerr keeps coming back and getting renewed, right? Ultimately, when you are successful and both the player and the coach are contributing to winning, they're going to stick it out for as long as both of them want to deal with it. But the minute that either we see losing coming or I don't want to deal with it, one or both will be like, I'm out of here and I'm going to do my own thing, right? That's the cycle of how these things work. So again, my position is to Madrid fans, have a little bit of nuance with that, right? And just understand that this type of situation happens. Coaches and players don't all need to be buddy-buddy. Would it be nice if everybody got along and sang Kumbaya? Sure. But the reality is 99% of teams that win, it ain't like that, right? There is always this kind of undercurrent that goes on.
Yeah. Lastly, I just don't know who's going to be able to sign him in Europe other than the cheaters, PSG maybe, but like they're cheaters, but we wouldn't tell them to them, one. But regardless, like it's hard to get a guy like that right now without gutting your team. It would be Saudi, and I just think he ends up wanting to like win more Champions Leagues. This is the best place to do that. There's nothing better for your resume. Good luck winning more anywhere but here. Yeah. And well, that's all for today's show, I think, but we're going to be back in an hour. I will be joined by Josh Williams of LFC TV, Anfield Wrap, to preview Liverpool Real Madrid, talk about Trent's return to Anfield, Trent starts a life at Real, and all those good things. Josh is a big Liverpool analyst, so really excited to do that one. Also, guys, we are going to be launching some more a membership at some point for people who want to just join us. Like, we're going to do shows way more around the clock. All our big post-game shows and a lot of the content we do now already will continue to be free at all times. Still going to be putting out like 3 to 4 free pieces of content every week. We're also just going to be doing more fun stuff, maybe live streams, playing video games, and just chatting football, talking maybe even basketball with Jarod sometimes, maybe some NBA 2K, Luka Doncic. You know, you never know.
He's forever trying to get me to play video games. And I'm like, bro, I have not owned a system since, what did I tell you?
Hey,
PS3.
Hey, good news, guys. Now we can be on the show while I'm playing games and Jarod can watch, and you can ask Jarod questions, and we can answer old questions. So Jarod has a reason to hang out and watch me while talking about sports. I actually can't wait. To be honest, I feel like it's like the ultimate. Like, I'm really excited to do that. But I know a lot of you guys like talking about high level things, and I do too. And I want to do it more often on a fun basis. So we will be offering more of that for those of you who are interested. So thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, leave us a like. Make sure you tune in for the next episode as well, and see you guys later.